Petra's Numbers here, and in this video I'll be talking about my thoughts on the Chelsea vs Aston Villa match that took place last week. So the first thing I would say is that that match had a reminiscent feeling of the West Brom match that took place last season, also in Stamford Bridge, where we conceded 5 goals. So it wasn't a surprise, to have that kind of feeling appearing again last week, especially when you have to consider, partly of the reason why Chelsea performed as how they performed was because they're the club in Europe that has the most players being called up and have to play during the international break, and so that chemistry and connection were lost, and that's why Chelsea could have conceded 4 or 5 goals in that match. But luckily we have Mendy, a very great goalkeeper that we bought last season. Thiago Silva, with his experience and incredible defending, mitigates Aston Villa from conceding 4 goals at the hands of Aston Villa, because Aston Villa played a very great game, but of course they weren't clinical enough. They made also soft mistakes, especially with Tyrone Mings, and that's why we were able to win the match. Hudson-Odoi, I think, needs to improve, because when I see him play, sometimes it can really frustrate me a lot. I'm certain for you Chelsea fans as well, you can probably have the same feeling as well, because if you were watching the match, you can clearly see that Hudson-Odoi clearly made it look like as if Chalobah didn't perform very well, and actually he did, but Hudson-Odoi didn't fulfill to his roles and tasks, and that made Chalobah having to clean up the mistakes of Hudson-Odoi. And then on top of that, you can also see his connection with his teammates were very poor, and that's partly one of the reasons why it was really disappointing to watch him. But I wasn't surprised to see Tuchel keeping him on, because if he were to take Callum off, let's say at half time, who exactly is going to replace him? When you have the players that are going to be able to replace him, one of them being suspended in James, and then the other one, of course, just played almost every single of the international football matches that he could play, which is in Aspilicueta. So I wasn't surprised to see Callum stayed on for the full match, and of course until Aspi came on. Or wait, he still probably played on still, Callum. Anyway, the point is he needs to improve his game and his communication between himself and his teammates, and if he improves that, I'm certain it'll be much more exciting for us Chelsea fans to see him play more. Next one obviously was the Kovacic performance, which was obviously a man of the match performance because of his incredible perfect inch assist for Lukaku's first goal, and also his own second goal as well, after Tyrone Mings made his mistake. And his passing was very brilliant, but of course there were several passes that could have improved, and if he had made them accurate, spot on, just like he did for Lukaku, I think Chelsea could have trashed Aston Villa in that match. But he didn't do that, and we ended up finishing the match 3-0. Next one is about Saul. His performance was really awful. He shouldn't have played at all. It's at the same time understandable for him to play as he did, because you know, when I see him play, and I'm certain every one of you guys who watched the match as well as a Chelsea fan would understand that he performed like that. You know, when he performed like that, it wasn't a surprise if you think about how Jorginho used to play in his first season, let alone the first few matches, how Kovacic played as well, how Rudiger played as well. You know, I mean, I don't know if any of you remembered, but Rudiger used to be called the king of giving away penalties, you know, and look at him where he is now. So that demonstrates that, you know, you have to be patient and you have to trust in that Saul can improve his game and make sure that he's able to adapt to the Premier League. Of course, I expect him to be much more of what he used to be as a top world-class player, or maybe a star player in the Champions League when we play against Juventus tomorrow on Tuesday. And yeah, I mean, you don't forget also about Kai Havertz last season as well. Of course, I think COVID made a huge impact on him to not perform as what he can really do. But I think one thing for sure is that you need to give Sal, you know, perhaps until the second half of the season for us to be able to start judging whether he's a player that we want to keep, or whether he's a player that, you know, at the end of the season we should just send him back to Atletico Madrid. And then obviously because of Sal's performance when Jorginho came on, we can clearly see that, you know, Jorginho as a player, what he means to the team now, not just only for Chelsea but also for Italy, how much he has improved his game since his first season at the club, and why he's a player that should be, you know, not on the bench but should be in the first team. And then finally is about Lukaku's second goal, which was assisted by Azpilicueta. But you also have to take into considerations about how Lukaku was able to have much time on the ball to be able to pick a spot on the goal and shoot exactly at that spot, or just make sure that he shoots the ball at the back of the net. And that was partly because of Timo Werner, you know, because of his run, just like it did in the Champions League. He did to I think it was Kyle Walker, or maybe it was the Zinchenko. I don't know if that was how you're supposed to pronounce it, but the same principle occurred in this match, where Timo was able to draw away the two centre backs, and that gave Lukaku enough time and space to make sure that the ball gets at the back of the net. And that also demonstrates, you know, how important Timo really is to the team, as also seen last season. You know, he's not a player that should be defined as the goals scored, but in what he contributes to the team, and also the assists that he makes. And also not to mention that you know, if we were to take the positives as well of the match at around the end of the match, one thing that's very clear is that you need to have Timo and Lukaku playing, you know, playing at the same time. I think that if Timo was playing, especially against Aston Villa, with Lukaku, I think there was a very strong chance that, you know, Lukaku could have gotten a hat-trick, or probably could have scored 4 goals. But then again, it's not really that simple, because, you know, part of the reason why Lukaku was unable to score 2 goals was because he had, you know, really low amount of service from the midfield or from defense, and that's why it was only at the score was only at 3-0. And that's it, you know. That's all I can really say about my thoughts on the Chelsea versus Aston Villa match. I hope you guys enjoy it, and make sure to subscribe as seen in the right button, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.